So the reality of changing your body composition, gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time is that it's not about how hard you work or how fast you start seeing results. It's about learning to do the same non-sexy actions consistently on a daily basis, even when you're not seeing results at first. And over the past 5 weeks of changing my body composition, I've learned that it's 3 main things that I really need to focus on a daily basis. 1, consistently going to my workouts and training hard. 2, eating enough protein and micronutrients to satisfy my body and allow me to hit a caloric deficit or caloric maintenance. And 3, the less talked about one, properly recovering. This includes sleep, hydration, my mindset around training, staying active throughout the day, but also not overdoing it. It's finding that balance, allowing my body to properly recover so I can truly build muscle. And then it's just about figuring out how to do that over and over and over again, because the secret to doing that forever is falling in love with the routine. And sometimes life likes to challenge that routine. Today, for example, is really going to challenge that routine. So we're going to practice pivoting, and I'm going to try and get in these 3 essential things that will support me towards my fitness goals, as well as a bunch of other work in the morning before I have a completely busy afternoon. Because it's not about being perfect and doing the same routine every single day. It's about being able to pivot and still carry out the actions you need to do in your routine, even when life throws you a curveball. So let's see if I can do that today. That's going to be the goal. Let's see if I can get it done. Because realistically, we have a few hours in the morning before I gotta go. Jensen's getting his wisdom teeth out later today, which means we're cramming a lot of stuff into this morning so that we can be efficient. So I thought I'd show you my condensed morning. Let's go to the gym. We're hitting legs. We've made it back from the gym. I wish I could have filmed the workout today. I was fully planning on doing it, and the gym was actually more busy than I've ever seen it before. It's because instead of going with like my normal 5 a.m. crowd, 5 to 6 a.m. crowd, it was the 7 to 8 a.m. crowd, which was a lot of people. Love to see everyone working out, but it was busy. So it's kind of a crazy time because we leave in a few hours to go prep Jensen for his appointment, but in the meantime, I've got a lot to do. We smashed that workout. I'll put the workout up on the screen, but we did squats, jumping squats, alternating lunges, hip thrusts, just a ton of volume. And guys, I was walking up the stairs today and I was shaking and I was like, oh, why do I do this to myself? But we do this to ourselves for the booty gains and the strength gains. That's what we're here for. And this is the fit. This is the current fit. It's literally nothing exciting. I wear pretty much the same outfits on repeat over and over again because I like them and I don't have to think about it. Works for me. It's time for a little midday snack, so I'm gonna go make a protein yogurt bowl, I think, and also film it for the video about high protein meals that I'm currently obsessed with. Let's go. Okay. This is one of those chunky bowls. Just finished making my protein yogurt bowl. I'm gonna go take a walk because I know I'm gonna be bed bound with Jensen for the next 24 hours. In about 4 hours. So time to take a walk before I'm not moving for the rest of the day. I'm just chilling here while Jensen's doing a little bit of work, but I thought now would be a great time for me to chat about macros because I mentioned in my last video, I had been tracking for about a week to check in on my protein, on figuring out what my actual maintenance calories are, and I want to make sure that I'm hitting a good range calorie deficit. I don't like going too hard into a calorie deficit. I want it to be so gradual that it's barely noticeable. Like 5-10%, that's probably like what, 50 to 100-ish calories or so a day. Something that's so slight that it's hard for me to notice that I'm missing anything, and I can just make little tweaks like eating more voluminous foods, having a little more salad, focusing on getting my protein, and then the rest is taken care of. I don't have to sacrifice my fish and chip date nights or like the periodical acai bowl or whatever the sweet treat that I want, some popcorners that I want to steal from Jensen. You know, I don't like giving up that stuff completely. So I've been tracking the past week to figure out what my maintenance calories are. It feels really nice though to be able to say that I have come full circle from a place where I started tracking, became obsessed, had a horrible mindset about that. Years later, to have figured out how to eat intuitively and eat in a way that makes me feel good but isn't restrictive of food groups and sweets. And food is just something that gives me fuel, but I can also enjoy and means so much more than just being calories or macros. I always feel a little bit worried to talk about calories, macros, and like protein only because I never want to emphasize that the goal should be just macros. The goal is never just macro or food content. It's always much more than that. It's the actual breakdown of your food, vitamins, minerals. It's also who I'm eating the food with. It's also how the food supports my satiety throughout the day, whether it makes me fueled and feel really good during my workouts, whether it allows me to accomplish my fitness and health goals and makes me feel good, but also I don't feel restricted or brought down or like too obsessed with it. And that's always the goal for me. Hopefully I never give off that vibe in my videos. I always want to just give information that I think would be helpful for someone in my place or where I was coming from who has similar goals of maybe growing muscle and or losing fat and just getting stronger, feeling better, moving in their bodies, because that's the whole point, to feel good, to move good, to live a happy, high quality life. And so that's always the goal of my videos. But back to the macro situation. So a little update from me is I've been tracking macros the past week straight now. I figured out some high protein meals and snacks that I can just throw in. I've been eating them consistently. They're so good, which is why I'm gonna be making a video coming out soon with high protein meals, because before I was tracking, I was just hoping that I was getting it in. I was like, all right, this has high protein, this is high protein, but I didn't actually know how they came together and whether they gave me enough protein. And they kind of weren't, / I wasn't prioritizing them enough, but now I feel like I've really got that on lockdown. So I've been consistently hitting my protein, which for me personally is like a minimum of 110 grams of protein, upwards of like 140 or so. I try to make it a range. The recommendation generally to minimize muscle loss while in a calorie deficit, so you're losing fat, but also maintaining / gaining muscle at the same time. The recommendation generally is to eat 1 gram per pound of body weight that you want to get to. It's not where you're starting, but your goal body weight. Especially coming from a place where I hadn't been tracking protein quite as hard, I kind of eased up the first few weeks, just starting to add in more protein, focus on more protein foods, and that really was great for me. But the past week or so, really trying to shift and make sure that I'm hitting my protein goal minimum of 110 grams. That's way lower than my goal body weight for sure. But kind of making it a range between like 110, 140, 150, anywhere in that range. As long as I'm getting in other good stuff and still kind of maintaining that slight caloric deficit, I'm happy with that. So tracking in that way has really served me. I'm gonna try to continue to track the next coming week and see if I continue to hit my protein goal, and also just pay a little bit more attention to the mineral and micronutrient breakdown, because I know from previous experience that eating enough vegetables, fruits, whole foods that give me those micronutrients, that's gonna actually be what makes me feel really good during my workouts. I feel like a lot of people don't talk as much about the micronutrient content, but I feel noticeably better when I'm eating enough micronutrients. In the end, you can hit a caloric deficit, eat fewer calories than your maintenance, and lose weight. You can hit a caloric deficit on Snickers, Pop-Tarts, popcorn, like stuff that's gonna make you feel hungry constantly and feel like shit. Just realistically. But on the flip, in the past when I have hit my caloric deficit, it feels so much easier when I'm having more salads, having more fruit. I don't feel hungry or like I'm missing out on anything. I just make my foods, they're like massive portions. I feel really good and they keep me full throughout the day, and they're getting me those vitamins and minerals. And I think there's so much to say about everything in the balance. A little bit more whole foods, but also keeping in those sweet treats, those things that I love, just not as frequently, you know? So I've ranted for a bit, but that's a little bit of an update on the macro food tracking situation. And now we're just waiting on Jensen to finish up with his stuff and take a little hot girl walk. I'd been listening to, I gotta pop that hat back on. This is ridiculous. Recently, the audiobook that I've been listening to on my hot girl walks is called Outlive: The Science and Art of Longevity by Dr. Peter Attia. I'm somewhere around chapter 4. I've just entered part 2. It's been interesting so far. I'm interested to continue to listen to the podcast, but so far what I've been really enjoying is his approach to see longevity as something that's not just living longer, but also increasing your quality of life so that you are still active and enjoying your life in those extended years that you get. And ultimately, like, a huge point of health and fitness, why I eat the way I do, why I train the way I do, is not only to change my body for a certain way, but rather to move a certain way so that I feel strong in my body, so I can squat low, I can jump high, I can reach stuff, I can freaking pull my body weight up if I need to with calisthenics skills. Because I've trained for just aesthetics goals in the past and it hasn't served me. I just ended up hating my body, training just to change the way my body is, and it feels really good going through a body recomposition 2.0 again this time, where I'm not just obsessed on losing as much fat and gaining as much muscle as possible so I look lean and toned. Like, yes, I would like to change my body composition so that I lose a bit of fat and gain a bit of muscle, but more so what's important to me is I feel strong, I'm enjoying my routine, I feel good after my workouts, I have more energy during the day, and training in a way that allows me to move better. Kind of like what Dr. Atia is talking about. I want to be able to move for a long time. I don't want to sacrifice my long-term health for short-term gains. So that's kind of a mindset that I've been having, but I can't wait to listen to the rest of the book, and I will share more once I've learned a bit more on that one. Are you taking a hot girl walk with me, Jensen?
Nope. I'm not a hot girl.
Oh, what about hot people walk? As in we're walking and we're getting sweaty because it's warm out and I'm wearing pants. You don't want to be a people?
No.
Looks like it's just me, guys. We love a handstand with no warm-up because that's so good for wrist health. The inner calisthenics coach in me was watching that video back. If you watched that video closely, you saw that I did the press handstand part fine, but as soon as I got my feet up, I walked my hands forward, which is a sign of two things. One, I didn't have enough shoulder control in there, and two, I didn't control my hip positioning well enough. So the first part of a pressed handstand, your lower back is in an anterior pelvic tilt in order to help get your feet off the ground. But as soon as you get up to that normal floor handstand portion, you have to shift into a posterior pelvic or a neutral pelvic tilt in order to really engage into that hollow hold position that you need for the handstand. And I did not shift between that anterior and posterior pelvic tilt good enough with enough control, which is a sign that I need to work on that and also need to improve my shoulder control. But it didn't help that I wasn't warmed up, so it's whatever. But that's probably why. It's time for a walk though, so let's go get that because we gotta get a move on. It's almost time. Almost time to go to the dentist. In your body. And now, in case you're like, Emily, why are you so adamant about going for a walk? Well, there's a few reasons. It started from my goals being focused on body recomposition. A great way to increase your caloric deficit is to increase your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, aka just being more active throughout the day. It's like walking or playing with your kids or doing chores like vacuuming, just being active throughout your day. So that's kind of one of the reasons that I started really forcing myself to go on like at least one daily walk. But I have actually continued it, not for the NEAT, but because it's such a huge mood enhancer for me throughout the day. When I take a walk, I get to listen to a podcast, which is amazing. Or I'll call a friend on the phone, so it's a social opportunity. And I get to leave the house and change up my environment, and it just secretly makes me feel so good. After my walk, I just feel a lot more peaceful and I just feel better. So now they've kind of became a essential part of my daily routine. I'll take at least one walk minimum every day, and even if that's like a short one, like a 20-minute walk from maybe the gym to my favorite coffee shop, or even if I am not feeling motivated, I haven't moved the whole day, that feeling when you're already kind of being like a little bit of a couch potato and you want to continue to be a couch potato because you're like, I don't want to move. Let's just screw the day because I've already not moved at all. Sometimes on those days I say, hey Emily, you told yourself you would take a short walk, so go do it. And then I will, and after the walk, even if it's just a 20-minute walk, I'll feel so much better. So that is why we are getting in that walk real quick, because I've actually only got 30 minutes before we basically have to head out. So wrapping it up, I'll listen to that podcast now and a voice note from my mom. Walk all set, probably hit about 6,000 steps, gotten a little bit of walk, checked with my mom about procedures for the wisdom tooth appointment. Let's go, it's time to go. We gotta go. How are you feeling?
Nervous.
Back, Nala.
It went good.